The Trump administration claims it now, quote, runs Venezuela, Dad, even though Maduro's vice president has been sworn in as the new president alongside a delegation of Iran, Russia, and China, not exactly U.S.-friendly allies. Meanwhile, Maduro has pleaded not guilty to charges here in the United States. The Trump administration is calling their actions in Venezuela both a, quote, military operation and a law enforcement mission. Either way you paint it, Dad, these actions are illegal, right?
Illegal, immoral, and incredibly unwise. They're only going to make things worse. How do I know that?
Tell me.
Because of the history of American foreign interventions to overthrow established governments. Who are bad they may be. That's not the issue. What happened in Iraq, Sam, after we overturned the horrible dictator Saddam Hussein?
A massive power vacuum and violence,
civil war,
violence,
instability. It's still not a stable, functioning democratic state. What happened after we overturned the horrible dictator Gaddafi in Libya?
Violence,
chaos, instability. Another failed state. In Chile, we overturned not a terrible dictator, a left-wing elected leader, Allende, in a coup supported by the United States. And what did we get? Pinochet, one of the worst, most brutal dictators in the history of Latin America. We overturned a democratically elected government in Guatemala. And again, we got a dictator, we got instability, and we got genocide against the Mayan people in Guatemala. We overturned the Taliban in Afghanistan. And what happened after that, Sam?
They're back.
Back after 20 years of absolutely futile warfare. The history of America coming in and overturning established governments, whether they're good or bad, is absolutely disastrous. When we overturned the government of Iran, we got the Shah, another dictator, which ultimately led to the Islamic Revolution and the Iran hostage crisis. And this, in many ways, is worse than any of those because obviously it's crystal clear that beyond smash and grab in Venezuela, what plan do they have for actually running the country?
They don't have it. They don't run. I mean, this is the thing that has come to my mind in the last couple of days. People are talking about regime change. It's the same regime.
This is the same, and maybe worse.
Right. This is Maduro's regime just being run by his vice president. Like I said, when she was sworn in, there was a delegation from Iran, Russia, and China.
Yes.
In what way are we running this country? The people are going, oh, there's no plan. It doesn't even exist. There's not even a plan to be had. The country is being run still by Maduro's regime.
And in a sense, it's worse because they're cracking down even more than they did before the American incursion. They're really brutalizing those who they think are complicit in the American attack on Venezuela. This notion that Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio are running Venezuela, it has about as much validity as the idea that January 6th was a patriotic day of love.
And Trump has seemed to reject Machado, who is in exile right now, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. He seemed to totally reject her as a possible replacement for the
or her party, which won supposedly, if the election was conducted fairly, the last election. There's a simple reason. You know why he's rejected her and her party.
Tell me.
He does not want a free democratic government in Venezuela. He wants puppets. He wants those who have no principles and might be willing to deal with the devil, Donald Trump. Machado might not be willing to deal with the devil, Donald Trump, or give up
It's hard to
her
tell.
oil.
It's hard to tell. She's been publicly really sucking up to Trump a lot.
Well, she has to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she has no choice because he, holds her fate in his hands. How many times did he talk about democracy in describing what they're doing in Venezuela?
Not at all.
And how many times did he talk about oil?
Pretty much entirely.
Yes. It's pretty clear this is smash and grab.
Now, what do you think about this terminology, quote, military operation and a, quote, law enforcement mission? It's a bunch of gobbledygook, right?
It's total gobbledygook. And who does it sound like? Special operation. Vladimir Putin and his justification for going into Ukraine. Remember, he said, this is not an invasion. This is not war. It's a special operation designed to deal with the corrupt Nazi-type government of Ukraine. You know, change the words a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's pretty much
it sounds almost identical to Putin.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but the idea that this is a military operation, you go into a country, bomb it, remove their leader,
kill
and then
people,
claim you now run it. That's an act of war.
Of course,
military
it's an act of
operation.
War.
A bunch of nonsense.
They had a meeting of the UN Security Council, and America's staunchest allies, or NATO allies, either openly condemned what Trump was doing, like Spain and Denmark and France, or like Britain, you know, kind of hedged, but none of them supported it. You know, other Latin American nations like Brazil and Colombia denounced it. Virtually no nation, none of our allies in NATO came out and supported it, and quite a number of them openly condemned it. And here's the UN Secretary General, who warned about the American operation in Venezuela. He said, I am deeply concerned about the possible intensification of instability in the country, the potential impact on the region, and the precedent it may set for how relations between and among states are conducted. You know what he's driving at there when he says how relations among states are conducted? Driving at dictatorships invading other countries on the same pretext that Trump used, most notably possibly Russia trying to abduct Zelensky, right? And China invading Taiwan, claiming, oh, Taiwan is legitimately part of China and is an illegitimate state, and therefore we have a total justification to invade there. There can be zero doubt that when you bomb a country, extract its leader, kill people, and then claim you're running the country as a result of that attack, that is an act of war. Period. Full stop. Just as much as Putin's attack on Ukraine was an act of war.
Let me ask you a question about this, the whole oil thing. Now, obviously, Trump has mentioned oil a lot. We know that Venezuela is very oil rich. But there's been reports that a lot of the big companies are saying they don't want to have anything to do with oil in Venezuela.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It is a little weird.
Look, you know, once again, think about this. Trump has not fully thought through what he's doing here. Yes, he wants to grab the oil, and I'm sure a lot of his cronies have financial interests. You know, his own company rather, it's not a corporation, may or may not have financial interests in the long run. At the beginning of his campaign, he told the oil companies, you finance me, I'll let you do what you want. But it's clear he hasn't thought this through, because the big oil companies are very reluctant to go in and really start from ground zero in revitalizing the oil industry in a country marked by political instability and uncertainty. If there's one thing big business likes, Sam, it's stability and certainty.
Yeah, the whole oil thing has already gotten really confusing because, like we said, there's reports that the companies aren't interested in going into Venezuela, and then Trump reportedly said that the government will give these companies subsidies to go into Venezuela, and then tonight Trump had some Truth Social post that said like Venezuela's already agreed to give us 50 billion barrels of oil. It's all confusing to me.
It's a huge mess. But that's why Trump is perfectly happy to deal with the ongoing brutal dictatorship in Venezuela. This intervention has zero to do with democracy, with protecting human life, with human rights. It has everything to do with his efforts to plunder Venezuela. And if the horrible continuing Maduro government is the best way to do that, that's absolutely fine with Donald Trump. Thanks for watching our video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a member today.